Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I am Adam.
And today it is time for, what is today? Movie Club number 7, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Woo-hoo. Lucky number 7. Isn't that right, Nate?
Yes, absolutely. Lucky number 7. And today we are talking about the 90s Gen X cult classic Clerks from Kevin Smith. Lots of sounds there.
1994. Yep.
Yeah, from 1994. And if this is your first time joining us for a movie club episode, every Friday we release a new one. We just go back and review something that isn't brand new that the three of us all have interest in, and hopefully that all three of us haven't seen before. Which I was surprised that none of us had seen Clerks before. So what we'll do is we'll have a short, spoiler-free discussion at the beginning of the episode, and then give our scores, and then tell you what next week's movie is going to be, and then we'll dive into some spoilers in the second half of the episode. So, Adam, would you like to tell the people what Clerks is about?
Of course. Clerks. A day in the lives of two convenience store clerks named Dante and Randall as they annoy customers, discuss movies, and play hockey on the store roof.
All right.
Very, very emblematic of this movie. It's just kind of bah.
Well, it's certainly, it's definitely a, kind of a hangout, kind of trying to be Linklater-esque a little bit. It has very much has that low budget feel to it, kind of student
student project.
Yeah, film school movie, black and white, not by choice, but because they couldn't afford to film color, which I think he definitely lucked out in, because I think the black and white kind of makes it endearing and charming in a way now. Like I feel like if it would have been in color, I'd probably even like this less. But
I think black and white helps this movie. It's a little weird at first, but
yeah. I guess I definitely got that feel from the beginning. Very cult classic, first movie, no budget, and just kind of I could see why people fell in love with it at the time. What did you think, Nate?
Yeah, I can kind of. I really hated this, by the way. I mean, I just need to get that out there right now.
That's why I chuckled when you said a movie that we do movies that we're all interested in. It's like, I don't know if I could say that any of us were interested in this movie, but it was something that needed to be seen.
I was
curious about it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say I was necessarily expecting to love it, but it's such a cult classic and kind of a cornerstone, and like the movie, like one of the movies of a generation, it feels like.
Yeah.
And it launched this whole Kevin Smith, I don't even know what to call his universe.
And also kind of this style of movies.
Yeah, so it's culturally significant.
That's a good way.
Therefore, I was interested in seeing it and kind of trying to understand what all the hype was about. I guess I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I've ever actually had a conversation about this movie with somebody who likes this movie.
I have.
I know plenty of people who like it, although I usually say, like, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to know about it. That's
what I'm like. I know people who like it, but it literally just, like, if Clerks is mentioned, it's just somebody saying like, "Oh, I like Clerks," and then we move on. Like, I haven't talked to people about why they like it, but I mean, my guess is it was a guy who was under the age of 15 the first time they saw Clerks. That seems to be.
I feel like if you were like late high school, early college, you might have also.
Well, when it came out, I think that's true. But
yeah,
man, this just. The word juvenile doesn't even fully express what this movie is, because that implies a kind of charm that I found lacking significantly from this movie. And there were occasional laughs, but I mean, I think I texted you, Dylan, at the end of it, and this is what I have on Letterboxd, is that it felt like a 13-year-old stoner tried to make Slacker. And
And that's the Linklater movie from 93, 92?
90.
90. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before Dazed and Confused. And I think Dazed and Confused came out the same year as Clerks. I'm going to check on that really quick because that's just very amusing to me if that's true. Nope, 1 year earlier even. So that makes this somehow even worse to me.
Yeah. I expected those two to be closer.
But God, just so many like guys only conversations that only immature men can write and think are somehow profound. Mm-hmm. And I can see this being funny to stoner children. And that's basically it. I mean, I guess if you worked in a job like this, there are certain elements
that's part of it.
I think people can definitely connect to. Like, I've never worked in retail, but I mean, I do tech support stuff and have worked with people who have a problem that isn't my fault. And there's an element of that I could at least relate to in their frustration. I mean, I did like the line, "This job would be good if it weren't for the customers." Yeah. I thought that was good. I mean, so I can see
many jobs like that I've had.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see it, I guess, but I just strongly disagree with all of it.
For me, there were long stretches where I agree with you. The whole thing felt juvenile. There's one thing in particular that we'll mention in the spoiler section that is like irredeemably juvenile and like basically puts a ceiling on this movie for me, which I really did not think was
opened up a bottomless pit myself.
Yes, but there were other parts, like I said, there were stretches where it was just kind of like, kind of amusing, and then like it would get a laugh out of me, and then like kind of amusing. But it's weird because the style is so like all the characters are delivering their lines in a very like monotone, over rehearsed, like
very memorized,
natural delivery.
Yeah,
the dialogue is really bad. I think
it never felt like a real conversation.
Yeah, nothing feels genuine. Nobody stops and thinks about what they're saying. Somebody will just have a 2-minute spiel, and then the person will immediately respond with another 2-minute spiel, and you're like, wait a second, you didn't think about what you were gonna. It just.
Well, and here's the thing: is that kind of delivery of what they're saying is very almost intellectual, but they're like a slacker delivering it. I think to some people, and probably especially when this came out to counterculture, they thought that probably was on purpose or very kind of a unique charm of the movie. Like, for instance, I know someone, my uncle, who is, older than me, and he is of the age that would love this. And he does love these movies. He loves Clerks, and he'll quote them all the time. And when he quotes them, he does it in that style of no. So he thinks that's the bit.
I don't think it's a bit. I think they're all just really, really bad at acting.
Yeah, there's everyone was a no name. All the actors were,
or it was just terrible direction as well, because it was Kevin Smith's first movie, right? Or one of.
I think so.
And I mean, I did look at the IMDb page, and I saw that the budget for this was $27,000 estimated. So and that explains the black and white and why it's not that good.
Well, here's the thing: is I didn't really have too much of a problem with the direction. I actually thought that there were certain scenes where I felt like he kind of was onto something. And again, maybe that's just the black and white making it seem like he's more in control than he really is. But there were stretches where I was like, okay, I can see why the young kid who directed this kind of made a name for himself after this. Cause it's got some style to it. I don't want to say it feels a little bit at times like a French New Wave movie, a little bit, where it's like, okay, it's trying to be, right? But yeah, I don't know. In general, it was just so hard to buy in, because it was just like, oh, here's another long conversation that's delivered not well, and it just doesn't seem real at all. And I can just see Kevin Smith writing this on the dialogue and them rehearsing it. And I don't know. It was hard to get into.
It is weird, because I do feel like this encapsulates so much of what the 90s was, or what people were like in the 90s. This is how people talked. This is how the words that they used, the freeness of some of the words, some of the they use the F word and not fuck. They use that like very liberally, or do it like, oh, I eat cock, or like blah blah blah, like stuff like that.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very,
lots
like,
of
reminiscent of
gay
like
jokes.
what I remember about like growing up in the like late '90s, early 2000s. So like that all hits home, and it's like, okay, there's familiarity here, but that doesn't make this good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely fits.
Captured
It's
that
of an
moment,
era.
It's of an era. A lot of it hasn't aged well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say before we get to the stars?
I think we can do the stars and then just then get into the spoilers after that.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll be right back with our star ratings. Okay. Should I get mine out of the way first?
I mean, might as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I gave this a 1. I was kind of hovering around a 2 for a lot of the movie, and then the just irredeemable, most lowbrow, amateurish image, whatever you want to call it, choice in the last 10, 15 minutes.
It's like 20.
Yeah, just drop this as low as we go here.
Just piano through the floor.
It's so bad, and it's I don't. It's a weird thing to say that, like, I kind of get it, but I also don't. It's like I get it, but my response to all of that is like, can't we just want something better?
Yeah.
like why did we have to pick this one as the like cultural, like, plant a flag here and this is who we are, because we suck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave it a 1.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like you might have something better to say about it, so I kind of want to go next.
I mean, okay. All right.
Okay. I'm giving this 2 stars. I walked into this movie having only seen parts of Clerks 2 up until the donkey show. And if that tells you anything about Kevin Smith's humor or what, I walked out as soon as my friends were watching this back in the day in high school at Clerks 2, and I saw the donkey show and immediately was like, I'm never watching this again. So that's all I've understood about this series before watching this. And I was like, it's just not for me. It's not something I care about. I don't get it. Fuck it. I don't, whatever. So I liked the parts of this movie where it feels like it reminded me of like growing up a little bit. But that said, I don't like any of the characters. The actors don't do a good job. It's just because it's so low budget. There's things I respect about this movie, but I don't consider it to be good. I think there's some redeemable things, like message wise, and that's the only reason I'm giving this a 2. Upon rewatch, this will probably go down. I don't think it'll ever go up. I was kind of waffling between like a 2.5 and a 2, and then when we showed our list of what a 1 through 5 rating is, like, a 2.5 is okay, and a 2 is not good. And this is not good. So that's where we're at. So that's all that's the 2 stars.
Fair enough. I am also going to give this 2 stars. Lifting it up to the 2-star thing, I guess, with Nate, like, to your point of like, it says a lot about who we are, and that's sad. I like to think that it's more just who we were at this point. I think if this movie came out today, it would be, Kevin Smith would be blacklisted from everywhere. Like, we have come a long way, I think. Like, I don't think this movie, if this movie came out today marketed towards teenagers, this would like offend. This would not work at all. Like,
that's probably true.
What I thought is, I felt like when I was watching this, I really got a feeling of like a time capsule. Like, it's so of the era, just like the music and just like the message, and just like thinking about the people that saw this and like thought like, oh my God, like this speaks to me. Like, it definitely is. A lot of it hasn't aged well, and it's not good. There's certainly not a plot, but like, there is still something kind of fascinating about it for me. I just felt like some of the jokes were funny, some of the banter was funny, but mostly the last 10 minutes, I think, like the last 10-minute stretch, I think because every little section has like a name, and I think juxtaposition, and then whatever the last one is. Those ones I felt, at least like when I saw them, I felt like it came together enough where I was like, okay, like I get why a whole generation of people thought, like, connected with this movie. just in the last 10 minutes with those scenes. And I also, like you, Nate, I've never worked like true retail, like behind a cash register all day, and if I had, I'm sure I could relate even more. But yeah, so I'm just gonna give this a 2. It's not good. It's certainly not good. Yeah, and we'll get more in the spoilers section.
To your point that this really couldn't come out now, Clerks 3 came out in 2022.
I mean, I don't even
we
remember.
haven't seen it.
Yeah,
but they made another one. People still went to see it. It exists. It came out less than a year ago with the same actors. So take that for what you will.
I will say the end of this movie when they're like discussing their problems and they're like, you're 22, man. Like, figure out your fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked a lot of jobs similar to this, and that connected. So like they did nail that part. And I like when I was 22, that's exactly how I felt. I had the same type of stupid ass problems. I was doing the same kind of stupid ass shit, and I was trying to figure out what was going on while just complaining constantly about a situation I didn't want to improve. You know what I mean?
Trying not to live with us anymore.
Yeah. Just kidding. It's so like part of it works. It's going to connect to certain people more than others, which is why I was kind of waffling on that 2.5. But yeah, when you take it at what it is, it's just if you leave all that stuff to the side and you're not a part of those communities that this movie is about, it's not going to hit.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, there we go. So 1 from Nate and 2 for Adam and Dylan. All right.
Yeah, we weren't kidding when we went through like McCabe and Mrs. Miller and Ikiru, I think back to back, and said these 5-star and 4.5-star reviews will not be the norm.
Yeah.
We will not keep that kind of momentum up.
This is exactly the type of movie why we started doing the movie club idea, because there's these little pockets of like film, culture and fandom that we just haven't even really looked at yet. So there we go.
So with that said, next week we're going to be jumping to a more recent time, 2010. So the most recent movie we will have reviewed yet, I believe, for the movie club, and that is Black Swan, starring Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis, which is supposed to be pretty freaking weird. So
have you seen it? Have you seen
that? I very, very recently watched it. We were already I was already on the list for the movie club, and I watched it a little ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah. Nate, so I still haven't seen it yet.
Okay. You've never seen it?
No.
Okay. I saw it when it came out, or like roughly like a year or two later, and was like, all right, whatever. So this will be a nice diving back into the fever dream.
Ringing endorsement from Adam.
That's the kind of energy I want you bringing to next week's episode.
It was what 18, 19. I was like, all right, that was weird, and like it's a weird movie. Like,
I love
it. That's fair.
All right. So again, that's Black Swan from 2010. If you want to check that out before next week's episode. So with that, we can dive into the spoiler discussion, and we can just basically discuss that a woman in this movie has sex with a dead man and then has an orgasm. And I got to the end of this movie wondering if anybody who wrote this had ever spoken to a woman in their entire lives.
Yeah.
All the conversations are just like what 13-year-old like horny boys think adult conversations are.
There's nothing worse than 13-year-old horny boys.
Well, and they make Clerks, basically.
Maybe that's why it's a cult classic, because in 1994, maybe those very adolescent stonerish thoughts had never crept their way onto the big screen, and seeing them on the big screen was like,
that could be
for Gen
Someone
X.
gets me. Like,
yeah, like
I wasn't as shocked by this scene, because I had previously experienced the donkey show of Clerks 2.
I have no idea what that means.
You don't want to.
I don't want to.
It's just as morbid and as gross and as fucked up as this scene is. But I was prepared for this scene because of that scene. I was like, well, that tracks, and that's fucking garbage. So all right, like, it didn't surprise me. I was just like, there it is. You know?
Yeah.
I was just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
when it kind of becomes clear sort of what happened, or like that wasn't what's his name in the bathroom, Dante, I just assumed it was Silent Bob.
No,
Yes,
I remember
or Jay even, or
which also how are these two characters so iconic to the point where I've never seen a Clerks movie and I've heard of them?
Because they're in a
Like,
bunch of other shit.
No, I get it, but they are absolutely nothing in this movie.
In this
Kevin
movie,
Smith
no.
speaks one time and is a horrible actor. Like he's
I mean,
really
his name
bad.
is Silent Bob.
He's really, really bad at not speaking in this movie. He has this same weird look at me, I'm acting look on his face the entire time, and it's not interesting. And they keep panning up to this, like, what is he, like a Russian something or whatever, supposedly? And he's like, what is he supposed to be?
Silent Bob?
Yeah, like, why is he
He's
supposed to be interesting?
Him and Jay are drug dealers. That's what it is.
But like, is that it?
I think so. It's just kids in the 90s who are selling pot and whatever. They thought that Jay and Silent Bob were like the coolest, funniest drug dealers they had ever seen in a movie. I think they loved the concept, and they clearly thought that his smarmy, smug look was endearing. I agree. I didn't think it's clear he's not a great actor. He barely delivers the one line that he has to deliver. He doesn't
but I mean, like, he even looks like
enunciate like what the fuck, like.
Yeah, but he even looks like he's acting poorly when he's not speaking. Whenever he has to like move or like point to something, it's awful.
Or when he starts dancing.
It's funny because like that's the whole bit. That's the whole bit. And like my introduction to Jay and Silent Bob, besides Clerks, was Dogma, and Dogma's objectively a fucking masterpiece next to this movie.
That's actually what we should put on the movie club.
Dogma's great.
Don't make me watch another Kevin Smith movie.
Honestly, though, it's worth it.
Dogma,
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck play angels. It's
actually bananas. The cast for that movie is pretty insane.
No, we should do it.
Alan Rickman plays fucking Archangel.
Yeah, that's all right. We're adding that to the list. But anyways, Adam.
Oh my god.
So like that's the whole bit. So I saw them ahead of time, obviously, in this and in part of Clerks 2, and I was like, oh, so that's just what he is. Got it. Like I didn't have to question like, all right, are you good at this? Or like that was just the intention the entire way through. So, and that's how they got their famousness or whatever.
It's 130 minutes long.
Bro, it's so much better than this is.
It really is.
Quality is
the lowest bar possible.
Well, all I know is Easter's coming up. Be a perfect reason to watch Dogma and review it. Literally perfect.
Yes.
And then this is the thing, Nate. Then you would have seen the full spectrum of Kevin Smith movies, and
there is no possible way that the first director that we are doing 2 movies from for this movie club segment is Kevin Smith.
Fine, we'll do another Kurosawa one, and then we're watching Dogma.
Watch on, baby.
Like, maybe another Altman movie just to cleanse the palate.
Yes, fine. Yes,
Nashville.
Oh God! Oh, fine. We'll give you Nashville if you give us Dogma. That's a deal.
Maybe. All right. Yeah. This is.
Although caveat, I think we need to watch Dogma together.
Oh, we should. Yeah, we should.
Absolutely watch Dogma together because that's worth it.
Anyway,
if we do Dogma, I need to watch it with both of you because if I watch it by myself, I'm just going to be like scowled,
rolling your eyes,
and in his apartment. I fucking hate it.
It's going to take me like 4 hours to finish it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Deal.
All right. Agreed. Everyone agreed. Yeah, I don't know. And so, yeah, there were a few interesting moments. I mean, I thought the hockey on the roof thing, I could see why people thought that was awesome. I mean, that was kind of cool. And like the whole premise, I just feel like the way it starts, you wake up with him and it's just like typical, like slacker job. Like he's stuck at it. Like it starts on like a good foot. And I feel like then it gets kind of crazy and out there and like too much. But then in those last 10 minutes, it kind of regrounds itself where it's like, oh wait, no, actually like she's going to like call him. He isn't going to get the girl. She's going to like call him out very publicly and kind of cut deep and kind of like, like this funny, fantastical convenience store world isn't actually like real life. Like, I don't know. I felt like it regrounded itself just enough at the end. And just in that scene at the counter, actually, even though Silent Bob does like not deliver that line well, Jay is just killing it as like a fucked up drug dealer about to go party. I mean, that is, and I felt like in that one scene, that's why they became kind of like a fan favorites. Yeah, I don't know. I felt, and then the scene when Randall and Dante are just talking before they're closing the store, and it's just clear that they're just going to keep repeating this same old pattern and just like, all right, I'll hit you up later. So yeah, I don't know. I at least could understand why it did become popular. Just a couple moments or lines that I liked. I liked when they ditch and the guy in Randall's like, "How busy could it be at 4 p.m. on a Saturday?" Like it's like a fucking convenience store. 4 p.m. on a Saturday, like
it's like probably the only time you need to be open. Like.
And then I also did like the, you know, any contractor working on that Death Star knew the risks involved.
That I love that bit. That whole take
so
is
the first
fantastic.
like half hour of this movie, I was kind of in like the 2.5 range. I was like, this is all right. Like that was kind of interesting, and then I sort of appreciated the bit with the guy trying to get everybody to stop smoking, and then realizing that he works for like a gum company. But so like every little section or like scene in this movie or little conversation is just built up to a single punchline. Like there's a weird and I found tiring rhythm to every single conversation they're having, because whether it's like 30 seconds or like 8 minutes, it's all just building. Like the whole conversation around like blowjobs.
Oh yeah, that was very
was just leading up to that part where he storms out and my girlfriend's in this 37 times or something, and then the guy just kind of like a stranger just stops and goes like, where? Or he like tries to follow
in
her
a
basically.
row? Like
That was what that entire thing was for.
Was a setup for,
so stupid.
Yeah, the thing with the eggs, the guy in the eggs was like kind of funny, but I felt like it didn't go anywhere, and I was like, okay.
Like, that was just like out of left field. Like
when he was 16,
about the bad customers, like the run of bad customer jokes or whatever. Like, okay.
Everyone's had weird shit that works jobs like that. Then you're like, that's just fucking Tony, bro. He just comes in like twice a week and does the exact same shit. We just let him do it because it's easier. Like,
I also, even though Randall is a lot and hard to take at times because his energy is so just like nonstop bro-ish and ridiculous. For one, I feel like I have met kids in high school that were like that.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that kids like Randall existed, especially in New Jersey. Also, some of the conversations when he's just talking to the customers at the video store and does not give one single fuck are kind of funny, like just because it's the level.
Which movies is better? I don't know. I don't watch movies. Like,
and then when he goes to the which is basically like Blockbuster, and it's like angelic, and there's like that little scene where the camera's spinning around in the video store, and he's just like, oh my god, like that was like a time capsule moment to me, like a nice big video store, like. What a magical place that used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
I think.
Yeah. So then, sometimes you got to let those hard to reach chips go. I thought that was all right.
Yeah. There's nuggets of wisdom or nuggets of fun in this movie.
Like teenager slacker wisdom. Stoner wisdom.
Yes. I think it balances. Yeah, teenage wisdom. I think it balances the like slacker versus aimless pretty well, especially for that like time frame, because you find out they're only like 22 years old. I think it does that well because, I mean, we're judging this as like 30-year-old guys who, like, by and large, have shit together. I mean, I wouldn't say completely, but fuck you. But you know what I mean? Like, when I was 22, this is exactly the type of thing I would have been like, yup. So it's a different thing. But that being a time capsule too, like being 22 in 94 versus being 22 in, say, 2022 is vastly different things.
And hey, if you were 22 in 1994, then you had to grow up in the 80s, and you had to live through all that shoved down your throat. So I can see why you were desperate for anything that raised a middle finger to that truth.
This does kind of tell John Hughes,
and we thank you for listening.
What?
This does kind of tell John Hughes movies to go fuck themselves.
Right? I mean, that definitely. That's on the other end of the spectrum. No, these are what teenagers are actually like. All right. Well, cool. Anything else we want to say, or should we wrap it up?
I'm just gonna say I'm happy that we get to shit on movies occasionally and have a good conversation.
Yeah, this
I
makes
love our 1-star reviews. There,
the movie club needs to be the full spectrum. There's got to be ones in here that we just don't like.
Yeah.
If you keep giving out 4s the entire time, they start to lose their meaning.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You need a Clerks to kind of balance things out every now and then.
Really rocket you back down to earth.
Yeah, to make you really appreciate things like Tar.
Yeah.
Or Puss in Boots.
That too. Apparently, it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Can't wait
all
to
right.
get that award. All right.
Just a reminder, what's our next movie club?
It is Black Swan, which
All
I guess
right.
I can check where that's streaming because we usually do that, and I didn't do it this time. So apologies.
Wow.
I think it's on each. Nope, it's nowhere. You got to rent it.
All right.
Suck it, nerds.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. I don't have the quote. Who's got the quote this time?
It is my turn to put the wrap on the show.
Dylan's got the quote.
All right, Dylan, it's all you. Take it away.
As opposed to the hundreds of other kids you've sold cigarettes to,